Alright, so what's up everybody? So, it's your boy Asu, the Guru. Alright, I'm back with another one. So today's video is gonna be about a little bit about the history of locks and why I personally wear them and why I chose to wear them. Okay, so right now if we see, this is essentially week 1 of the journey. Alright, I just twisted it up. Alright, let's get a good look here. What's going on? Alright. Okay. So this is like my week 1. Okay. Alright. And this time, I did the locks myself. This one. Alright. So if you see in the pictures in my videos, you'll clearly see that, alright, at one point in time I did have locks. So when I had locks, this was back in when I had first got out the Army. So we'll go back to about I got out in about April 2015. I had waves, let my hair grow, and I actually got my first set of starter locks back in June, like the end of June of that year. Okay, so basically I let my locks grow for a whole year, and what you see in the slides or in the beginning in the intro, what y'all see is pretty much the max length that it got to before I went on ahead and cut it. Now, so we'll get back to why I cut them in a minute. But so today we're kind of going to talk about a little bit like the history of locks and what's going on, with the history. So this is going to kind of delve into why rosters wear locks, why different people wear locks, and just in case people don't quite get it, they don't understand, because a lot of people are just riding the wave. It's a trend, just locks, whatever, doing them any kind of way. But there actually is a lot of depth and meaning to doing the lock thing. Some people kind of feel like they know, but let's just go ahead and get into some info so we can clarify exactly what's going on. So now some of the earliest signs of locks go way back in the ancient days. Okay, locks apparently have been around since man has been around. All right, as far back as we can see, there's usually some type of civilization or culture that had locks. Okay, and basically the whole thing about locks is that they're gonna mat up. You let your hair grow, it's gonna mat and it's gonna lock up. Okay, so. And the thing about having locks is really not tied to one culture specifically as far as where it came from. There are different cultures that have brought about locks and had their take in things of that nature. Some people will kind of say that it's only a black style. Well, that's kind of subjective, because at the same time, realistically, anybody can have locks. And even Rastafarians, it's not about really so much the locks themselves, because you can be Rastafari and still not have locks. So it doesn't mean, oh, you can't be Rasta if you don't have locks. It's not the case. But anyway, so what we have is some references we have here is that we have a lot of people know about in the Old Testament. If you were to look at Numbers chapter 6 verse 52, it basically says that to be holy until their period of dedication is over, talking about their period of dedication, growing their hair. And that's the Nazarite vow. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but that's what they call the Nazarite vow. Some people reference that to when they grow their hair. Obviously the Bible has Samson and Delilah. So Samson, he had his locks, and the power was in his locks. That whole story. So to take it to Africa, we have different tribes that were, doing the lock styles. We have the Sadu tribe. They were doing the lock style. We have the Ethiopians. So the Ethiopians would have their locks basically in time of war. The locks would represent, you are in a state of battle, or you are in a state of some type of military struggle. There's war going on. Okay. And this war is basically, which it still is now, it's against, wickedness, corruption, slavery, and which is the typical things that you would see somebody who is about freedom and revolution, and this is kind of like before Rasta. This is before Jamaica, they say, I believe it was the Sadu who, or was, I believe it was either the Indians that came over to Jamaica, or those who came to Jamaica got it from the Sadu, and they brought it to the islands, so Jamaica. So that's kind of where they get it. Also, they also deal with the LOCS also deal with the corruption that was going on with the British rule, imperialism at that time. So a way of battling against that, or showing that you were in rebellion against that, was obviously, you're showing that you're rebelling against, you're letting your crown grow, you're showing them that you are just, you're out here in this wild, you know what I'm saying? You're just letting it come out. And that's what people naturally, subconsciously get when it comes to LOCS. It's just something about it that's just rough, and you're letting that lion mane grow, you know what I'm saying? You're letting it get there, you're letting it get out, you know what I'm saying? So on the next tribe, we have the in Kenya, we have the Kakuya people. They were fighting against British rule. Same thing, like I just mentioned. The Mau Mau people, same thing. They also go back, like I said, in ancient times, ancient Egyptians. They had LOCS too. They actually had LOCS and waves. A lot of people don't even know that. You can see that on the walls of ancient Kemet. They were coiling, they were locking, all those different things. So like I said, this is ancient, and it goes back. It goes way back. Okay. And overall, LOCS have represented the struggle. They represented the struggle against oppression. They've represented your own individuality as a person, and representing your heritage, whatever heritage that you might really feel connected to inside of yourself. LOCS have always been that rebellious strength. There's something very powerful about somebody who lets their hair just go, and they're showing their it's almost like a wisdom and patience as well that you have with your LOCS when you're just letting them grow and get out there, and also your individuality. Okay, so back to why I had LOCS, or why I wear LOCS. Well, the first time where I was doing LOCS was, like I said, when I had first got out, and I was basically going through a journey, finding myself, who I am, what's going on with me, who I'm connected to, my culture, my past. Because a lot of us as blacks, we don't know who we are really. We don't know where we came from. A lot of us are just following this trend, what we see on TV, of this created African American, or this black American black that society has created, and you just reflect what you see. You grow up in a culture where you just reflect everything that you're seeing right now. What's trendy, and that's basically what you just flow to. 1 minute you're here, 1 minute you're here. You know what I mean? 1 minute is skinny jeans, and 1 minute is what they call, rocking, whatever style, that we do. But we're more than that, and a lot of us don't really know who we are, where we come from. And that's one of the things that I try to push, is know yourself. Know yourself. You cannot know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. Okay, and that's why a lot of us are stuck in the middle, because either you don't care, or you don't have the knowledge to care, or there's a part of you that cares but you can't really get over the hump of saying, hey, I kind of found out this and it doesn't really seem right. Like, what's going on here? Like, I didn't know that this could be me. A lot of us, just to speak on it real quick, do have ties to what you would call a tribe, especially a lot of us blacks in the South and throughout, different regions. A lot of us think that, oh, our only contribution, or our only contribution to the Americas was us as slaves, and then also that the only reason and the only way we showed up here in the whole continental U.S. was because of slavery, and basically the European brought us here. Well, there is evidence that shows that, okay, there may have been some type of trading of Negroes, coming over across the waters. Yeah, that's true, but at the same time, there's not really a lot of proof of these supposed slave ships that, they said existed and brought us all over here. Now, just to go ahead and give some quick numbers, they say out of Africa, it was 12 million came out through the slave trade, and basically the time would be from, I want to say, the 1500s to the 1800s. We'll say that it was out of Africa, the slave trade was from the 1500s to 1800s. 12 million Africans supposedly all came out. 10 million is the number that made it to the continental North-South America region, and the majority of those numbers went to South America, or Brazil, and over into the islands. Now, this is if you want to believe, or this is what they tell you happened. And out of those numbers that I just gave you, realistically only less than 500,000, so about 400, and I think 460,000 or something like that is the number, somewhat give or take, that made it into the U.S., that were brought into the U.S. Now, with those small numbers, how does that even equate to all the black people that you see out here in United States? Now, how did we make that happen if only this much of us out of 10 or so million that they say they brought? How does that even work? How did those numbers even add up? Because we were getting worked to death so much that we were only lasting on those plantations, especially in the Caribbean. We were only lasting maybe a few years. Okay, we were lasting maybe a few years. And then they were working us to death so much that they had to keep bringing us over. So they say. And if that's the case, we weren't coming into the United States of America with 40 acres and a mule. We weren't procreating. What do you mean? Like, there was no way for us to multiply in those numbers to where by, I want to say, the early 1900s, all of a sudden, we're outpopulating, the slave masters, because there are so many, the population of slaves is just so great. How did these numbers even add up? Where did all these slaves come from? A lot of you don't understand that you do have a history and a connection to tribes. We were tribal. In the Americas, there's proof of this before slavery. For some people, that's going to be hard to deal with, but guess what? Do your research, because a lot of you know, especially if you're from the South, that your great grandmama or whatever has some type of ties to some native tribe. Great grandma was full blood, this and that. But you don't connect the dots, because you say, oh, well, I might have some Choctaw or Cherokee blood in my family, and I'm mixed with You're not mixed. Okay, you are the Indian. That's the thing. You are the native. You do have a tribe, because you can't even. It's even hard if you want to go the DOS rolls. If you want to go track the records as far as you can go with Ancestry.com, which I don't recommend because they control that anyway. But my thing is what you spiritually resonate with, and the facts that you can put together yourself. I'm gonna tell you that's where you need to start and keep moving with that. Okay, all right, because you are more than what they say you are. But it's up to you if you want to believe it or not. Hey, it's whatever. All right? I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to give you the options in life. That's all it is, man. If you want to find out more about yourself and feel like more of a person, hold your head up a little bit higher. Because me personally, I know that I do have ties to Choctaw. My great grandma was Choctaw. Now I know, coming out of Mississippi, that's where I'm from. Not born, but raised. My family, my daddy, my mama. Central Mississippi, Choctaw Indians. Anybody in Mississippi knows the biggest Choctaw reservation that's out there. And that's why they got the big Silver Star Casino and Golden Moon and everything like that, Philadelphia, Mississippi. All right, but I know that in my family, because we practice the same ways, a lot of the somewhat of the same kind of mindset and ways of going about, cultivating and having gardens and living that, that type of lifestyle. That's something that's real big back home. Having your own garden and stuff like that, hunting and everything like that. So I know that, it's in my family. It's not so much that it's in my blood, it is, but I am that blood. So just to get on that point, I would just say, look into Black tribes of America. Not saying that your current native people are not native. It's just that we were all different tribes all together. And this even ties into, your current day people who are Mexican descent, that they say they're, Aztec, stuff like that. Well, all different tribes. All different tribes. There are people as dark as me living in, central Mexico. Stuff like that. Mexico City. We're there. We're everywhere. We always have been. Anyway, and that's why I went on a journey to know more about myself and know who I am. So, I started learning about different ties and different connections that I have. And throughout that time, it was a real powerful experience for me. Like I really went through some real transformations. And the LOCS that I had originally were part of that journey. And it was like an internal kind of thing. I was telling people that, I was doing work and I was in the temple. Basically my room, not this exact room, but it was another one. And, I would go into the room and I'd study every day, and I would, look at videos, and I would research, take notes, and I got another notebook over here, and just, and learn about myself, learn about, the culture of us and our people, right? So basically I went about cutting them because I got to a point to where, I was doing and dealing with some, external battles, some personal things I was having to deal with, basically going through many stresses in life, and I had to essentially deal with a divorce at one point at that, and the LOCS were a part of that. So I kind of started growing my hair back before I was ever having to deal with a divorce situation. So essentially I had a lot of energy. That energy was tied up in the LOCS, and I do understand LOCS to be they hold on to a lot of things, and I wanted to completely let go of that energy, because to me I felt like it was a negative energy, and I felt like it was weighing me down. So what I did was to release that and other things going on in my life at that time, I said, what, I want to start over, and let it go, because the mindset to grow the LOCS was way before I started studying about our history and our culture, stuff like that. It was way before, because I remember right before I got out Army, I want to say my last deployment, which was Afghanistan, and it was, I want to say I started ACAPing or getting out, processing out, right after that deployment. I think it might have been like an 8-monther, but I had already had to plan it. I'm going to do this deployment, and I'm getting right out. So I kind of was already in that rebellious mind state, and I started listening to Marley, reggae, because originally I wasn't listening to that, before. I didn't really get it. But when I started looking for that peace and serenity and freedom, and like a different kind of spiritual feeling, is where I started kind of moving into reggae. Actually, one of my homeboys, that I was in the Army with, shout out to my boy, Rob Layton, you know what I'm saying? My boy Layton. So he kind of put me on to reggae. We were riding around in his car one day, and he just was like, playing some reggae, and I just was like, man, I don't really do reggae. He just like, why not, man? It's so chill. And I had a negative outlook on the culture because I thought it was all about drugs and stuff like that, and I was clearly way off. No idea what I was thinking of doing. Once again, society affecting me having a bad mindset of what what the whole Rasta movement really is and about, and kind of drawing my own assumptions where I shouldn't have. But anyway, I was leaving, rolling out, And I remember being on the C-130, heading over there to Afghanistan, putting in my headphones, listening to Bob Marley the whole time, and just zoning out and just being in a complete state of, I don't even really remember the flight that much. I just remember, just being so in tune and zoned out to this state of peace and looking for freedom in the higher. So by the end of my beginning of my third deployment, I already knew that I was done, and it was time for me to move on to bigger and better. And no disrespect to anybody that helped me along the way, and my buddies who are still back there serving. And I appreciate what you guys done, and you guys helped out a lot. But anyway, my thing is that I went through all that, and I started growing them, and it was time for me to let them go, because I said, you know what, I've done the internal kind of rejecting society so I can focus on me. And I felt like after I got good internally and let go of certain negative energies, that it was time for me to kind of return to society, if you will. Maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't. And this kind of does deal with the whole spiritual journey of LOCS, which I do believe it does have a spiritual impact on you, because I personally went through it. So I do believe that there's a spiritual element to having LOCS. Whatever energy or spirit that you feel like you're kind of dealing with when you have LOCS, well, I mean, it's there. Like, you do feel the difference when you have LOCS. I speak it from experience. So essentially, I let go, and I felt like I was good within, and I've been kind of like just away from society for a while. This would be about summer 2016, and it was time for me to deal, since I was getting inside, now it's time for me to deal with society and kind of go out and start helping and dealing with people who that I feel like I kind of needed to bring info to, and that would come to me and talk to me and help them. Now that I've kind of balanced that whole thing between being good inside and dealing with people on the outside, I had cut my hair back in July. Summer 16th, so last July, I cut my hair, and originally I was going to keep the low cut, and I just said, you know what, I'm going right back at it. Now I just let them come right back, and as you can see now, we're back. Okay, so basically, I just want to kind of go ahead and give like a little overview into LOCS, a little bit of the history and why I wear them, why I feel as though LOCS are something that's kind of special to me, because I feel like we are in a state of a little bit of rebellion, especially with so many things going on in the country right now. There are definitely many things for us to be rebelling against. Obviously, the same last summer, we had to deal with police brutality was on a different level. We got Trump in office now. We could be looking at World War III. So much craziness going on right now. And this is me showing, I'm at one with, myself. I have no hatred towards anyone. This is a peace movement for me, but I am showing my individuality with these LOCS. So to me, they are very meaningful. And, I want people to feel that level of freedom that you can when you know yourself. So anyway, guys, this is just a video I just wanted to drop. Just go ahead and get it out there. Just dropping the info, spreading the info. More info is coming, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the LOCS Nation, and everybody out there, doing LOCS and, letting their LOCS grow. And I will keep update about how my LOCS turn out and everything. I'll maybe do another one in a few months. But info, I'm going to keep pushing it out. Different topics we're going to talk about. So post your comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, anything you want to talk about. You guys hit me up, and I'll catch you then. All right, peace.